Hey everyone, this is PrinceBrightstar, and welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV Dawntrail. So, once again, we are taking a look at the role quest today. Specifically, we're going to be looking at the Caster DPS role quest, and if we have time later, we'll also look at the ranged physical. But we're starting off with Suhei here. Power Forgotten. Oh, hello. Did Bukivu send you to help recover our stolen treasure? Thank the heavens. And judging by your accoutrements, you're learned in the arcane arts, yes? If so, we've need of your power and wisdom. Truth be told, it is wisdom that we require most. You see, even though the treasure has been guarded by our people for generations, we know little of its true nature. In ages past, the forests of our homeland were plagued with terrible beasts, a constant source of fear and danger. To combat this menace, our mages spent many moons researching the treasure, known as the Perch of the Apex. Upon unlocking its secrets, they were able to drive the monsters from the woods, bringing peace at last. With the threat all but eradicated, our forebears forbade any further use of the treasure and enshrined it within the village. As the years passed, we slowly forgot what it was to live in fear, yet as our struggles faded into memory, stories surrounding the Perch of Apex became legend, then myth. Now none living are certain of its true power. Yet the peace was shattered by a member of the Passage of the Unbound. The villain wheedled his way into our trust, then stole upon my husband, the treasure's appointed guardian, catching him unaware with a terrible blow that left him unconscious. He has yet to awaken, so my daughter, Tipike, has set forth to retrieve what was stolen. Unlike her father, she has no skill in the arcane arts, and chose the path of the sword. That's why I've been seeking someone with the knowledge she lacks, should the ancient power be unleashed. Please, if you can find it in your heart to help Tipike, I would be forever grateful. If there's a mystic artifact involved, count me in. Oh, thank you, thank you! Now, our only clue to the thief's whereabouts is from something he mentioned during his stay in our village. He spoke of his desire to bring change to a place called Radzat-Han. That is where Tipike decided to begin her search, so she boarded a ferry bound there, by way of Limsa, with her trusted sword and shield close at hand. That's how you'll know her. She agreed to stay in Radzat-Han to gather information until aid arrived. I know nothing of the place, but it's likely she can be found in the marketplace or some such. Please, bring our treasure and my daughter home, safely home. Alright, we are headed to Radzat-Han. We're probably not going to meet up with Vitra this time. Alright, so that is taking us over to here. Need a hand? Oh, are you looking for me? Whatsoever for? I was sent from Geralt. Prince, and you say my mother sent you. I take it she's already explained the details, such as how we know next to nothing of the treasure and its capabilities. We have only the legends passed down through our forebears to go on. They speak of a Terald Vidral, of an owl that once terrorized the forest, whose soul is sealed within the perch of the apex. The tales have only become more vague as the mists of time obscure the treasure's origin. Even our village's eldest remembers not but an ominous warning uttered by those who once wielded its magics. The master of the apex shall be showered with good fortune, yet leave only sorrow in their wake. It's clear that despite owing their safety to the apex's power, our forebears viewed it as something to be feared. It must be truly immense. Now, on to the matter of the thief. Even during our brief acquaintance, he made plain his desire to bring change to Rajat Khan. Naturally, I started my search here, and have been seeking anyone who's expressed dissatisfaction with the status quo. Sure enough, I soon heard stories of a recent arrival, a self-styled savior of Rajat Khan, who proclaims that he will lead the city to greatness, and calls himself the Justicator. He's apparently taken on the burden of personally exterminating the beasts which infest Thavnir's wilds. He made a great show of claiming he alone is equal to the task. While he certainly draws a crowd with his boasting, they only watch with morbid curiosity as he sets off into the jungles alone. I realize this could have nothing to do with our problem, but even the smallest lead must be pursued. I've heard he often gives his speeches at the region's smaller settlements, so shall we go see this Justicator for ourselves? It's decided. I hear Yedlimad would be a good place to start. Hopefully there we can find our next crumb of a clue. Alright, we are headed to Yedlimad then. Found someone here, Tepeke? Prince, we're in luck. This boy saw the very man we seek. It seems he gave the same grand speech about saving the people, claiming that danger lurked nearby before venturing forth to combat it alone. Yet the Radiant host could not well stand idle if there truly were beasts afoot, so one of them followed him. All we need to do is pick up their trail. He ran towards the shroud, but you might be able to spot him from Kadyaya's footsteps. You can see the whole forest from there. Thanks. You've been very helpful. So, Prince, let's head over there and see what we can see. Alright, that is taking us to the north. Not too much further. Alright, we have arrived. Let's see what we can see. Now then, let us begin our search. Since I've never actually seen the Justicator, I suggest we find the Radiant Host soldier first. They do all wear similar armor, after all. Search your surroundings for the Radiant. Alright. Now, let's see what we got here. Whatever that is, it isn't moving anymore. Would it be one of the fiends the Justicator is after? And the Radiant Host soldier is on the ground. That must be him. But what happened? We'd better get down there quickly. Not to worry, Prince. He's unconscious, but otherwise appears unharmed. Claw marks? What happened? We heard you came here in pursuit of the Justicator. Do you remember anything? Yes, I eventually found him. He was confronting that fiend that now lies dead. So whoever it is, it's either an archer or a bard. At last, the Justicator graces Razat-Han. I shall bring unending peace to this beleaguered land. You are brave to follow in my path. Few indeed possess the mettle to even consider the terrors which threaten our home, let alone stand against them. Yet, courageous though you may be, you are far too weak to fell a beast so mighty. Quit this place with your life, while you are yet able. I am of the Radiant Host. If I ran from such meager prey, I would become a laughingstock. How bold, to look death in the eye without flinching. I doubt not your conviction to defend Razat-Han, yet I believe it pales before mine. O Apex, bestow upon me your divine might. They have no idea how to use that thing. Do you not heed my call? I require your power more than ever. Is something supposed to happen? Why, am I yet unworthy? Or mayhap there is a button I must press. This is not what I expected. Stand aside, I'll dispose of this pest. Just give me a moment. It cannot end like this. I won't be made a fool. Come on, you moldy trinket, work! Transform me into the hero of Razat-Han. Did he just cause an earthquake, causing rocks to fall? He brandished that idol and became wreathed in a mysterious light. Then boulders started falling from the sky. Down they came, one after the other. That's when I must have been struck unconscious. I recall only faintly, but I think I heard the man mumbling, quite excitedly, as if he had come upon a sudden revelation, or as if he was overtaken by madness. It seems he got away unscathed. Either he had an incredible stroke of luck, or whatever he was beseeching to actually answered. Then it's as I suspected. This Justicar is the selfsame thief who stole the perch of the Apex. But no doubt he's long departed from here. First, I'll escort this fellow back to Yedlamad and keep a close eye on him. Head wounds can have dreadful after effects. Nice, a free teleport. The soldier made his way to Razat Han to make a formal report, and what an odd report it will be. His accounts seem to align with legends of the treasure's powers. The wielder escaped unharmed and brought ruin to those around him. Could those falling rocks have been a freak accident? I'm not so sure. You won't believe it! He came back! Who came back? The Justicar? Yes, not long after you left. He said he beat up a monster that knocked out a Radiant, and he was laughing his head off. Did he really do that? Is he really stronger than the Radiant? Whatever he did, the monster was slain, I suppose. Well, my mate can't stop talking about him. He wants to be just like the Justicar. His mum and dad weren't happy about that, though. I'd advise you and your friend to look for a different role model. But we thank you for telling us what happened. Well, there is one less fiend skulking about, I suppose. He may have been simply testing the treasure's capabilities, and as far as we know, he's yet to use its power to evil ends. I find his motivations a mystery. To steal the perch of the Apex by force, only to come here to Thavnair and use it for good? It makes no sense. You've heard tell of this passage of the Unbound, yes? Many have ventured to Chuliolol claiming to be their victims, yet here they would be saviors? If he had such noble goals, then why did he stoop to such devious deception? What could he be plotting? But that's neither here nor there. He stole from my people, and that misdeed cannot be forgiven. The perch of the Apex helped us win peace. By its might, our forebears built the foundation of the lives we now lead. Until recently, it stood silent, a symbol of our pride as a people. It reminded us that we carved out a home within that inhospitable wilderness. Being trusted with its protection is a great honor. I was so proud of my father when the elders chose him. So proud to be his daughter. Yet since the day it was stolen, some of the other villagers made their disdain towards him only too clear. I couldn't bear it. That's why I must get it back, to restore my village's pride and my father's reputation. There's still so much we don't know about the Justica, but we have to assume he's learned to wield the Apex's power. I can't say whether those falling rocks have anything to do with it, but I won't discount it outright. I'll continue looking into his whereabouts. While we still have so many questions, with both of us working together, we'll find answers soon enough. Alright, on to the next one. Prince, I'm afraid there's been some developments that are less than encouraging. News of the Justica's actions has spread throughout the city, and with each retelling his deeds become more valorous. The younger citizens in particular, seem to view him as something of an idol. Despite the creatures he hunts posing no real danger, he would paint them as mighty beasts in need of felling. Of course, the Radiant Host are far too busy to trouble themselves culling every pest that casts a sideways glance at the city gates. Yet the Justica has twisted circumstances to his advantage. He proclaims to anyone who will listen that the Radiant Host shrink with terror before these beasts, and that he's the only one who can eradicate them. Though you might expect such claims to be dismissed as wild ramblings, it seems no few people have fallen for his ploy. The whispers of his exploits among the youth have particularly grown into a clamor. Yet we mustn't be discouraged, for his increasing fame only makes it easier for us to sniff out his trail. And where better to start than Razat-Han? I'll see you there, Prince. Alright, we are headed back to Razat-Han. Given how large the city is, let's split up to cover more ground. I already have a destination in mind, the High Crucible. I hear the alchemists there can concoct all manner of tinctures and powders, including those which help in detecting traces of energies left behind by magics and enchanted tools. Fallen rocks have invariably marked locations, where the Justica has performed one of his feats. And I believe an alchemical mixture can help us determine if their presence is the work of the treasure. I'm hardly an expert in such concoctions, though, so I'll seek the advice of the High Crucible. While I'm doing that, I would ask that you go to the Hall of the Radiant Host and see if they have any new information on the Justica's whereabouts. Does that plan sound agreeable to you? Great. Now that we both have our tasks, let's go get them. I'll meet you back here once my business is done. Alright, so that's going to take us over to the northwest. Oh yeah, and this is the place where, if you were working on the prior expansions, role quests, you would pick them up from here. I'm tired of hearing about this Justica. His popularity among the city's younglings is quickly becoming a cause for concern. Try as we might to refute his claims that the Radiant Host are allowing monstrous beasts to run amok unchecked. You know how young minds are, impressionable, and difficult to change once set. We initially disregarded him as a boastful eccentric, but his alarming sway over the populace can no longer be ignored. We are at present considering whether to open a formal investigation into his activities. You and this ally of yours have done well in your search thus far. You even have a working theory about the falling stones. Quite impressive. Several of our number have encountered him during their patrols, only to lose sight of him under a hail of rocks. Such incidents have become all too frequent, and many in our ranks demand we act. For now, I'm afraid this is all the help I can offer. Please share what I've told you with your companion, and together we may yet unmask this Justicar. Just a thought here, but technically this is an international incident in the making here, given that a stolen artifact is here in your lands currently. Does that not bring up the priority of this to maybe taking action now? Oh yeah, and this void sent here, he's they're from another quest line. Alright, we're gonna make our way back. It's heartening to know that the Radiant Host are taking this seriously. Thank you for speaking with them, Prince. I have good tidings as well. I explained the situation to the alchemists, and they provided a powder that should help detect traces of magic in the surrounding environment. I say help, because the powder reacts only faintly on its own. To function properly, it requires the skills of one practiced in the arcane arts. Luckily, I have you. I've committed the locations of all sightings of the Justicar to memory, and the closest to us was at the Perfumed Rise. Let's hope this powder works as intended. Okay, let's see where we need to go. Oh, all the way out there. Got it. To the Great Work. Really? So you're saying the rocks that fell over there are not the closest? The Justicar was sighted near here, and I didn't see any other conspicuous stones around, so I sprinkled the powder over this one. Well, thank you for popping in. Granted, I realize you're probably a bot, but you know what? You're going to help YouTube locate me, so thank you very much. Now, concentrate your focus, or inner eye, or whatever it is that's the focus of your power, and see if you can't detect any unnatural forces. So, were you able to detect anything? I knew you could do it. So, because there are no crystals in the rock, the energy you detected must be the remnants of some kind of spell, is that right? And taking the story of the Radiant we rescued previously into account, we can conclude that the Justicar used the treasure to call those stones down from the sky. Yeah, I'm starting to wonder if maybe what's happening is they're casting either the comet or meteor spell. At least we now have an inkling of its true nature. Even so, not every question has been answered. I just realized PSO2 had a technique like this called "Oh boy." The Radiant told us that even as the Justicar stood before the creature, he seemed to have trouble calling forth the Apex's power at first. My father once said that the perch of the Apex is much like the wand he used to weave his magics. Of course, the main difference between them is the unique nature of the essence stored within the treasure. I know little of such arcane instruments, but you must be quite familiar with them. How do you use yours? Well, for me, it's a gem I hold in my left hand while I'm grabbing a rapier in my right. I channel ether into it. I see. Even with the right instrument, spellcasting requires the use of specific techniques. The Justicar seems to lack any such expertise, so how did he tap into the treasure's power? I suppose the perch of the Apex possesses some unique method of activation. When I spoke to the representatives of the other tribes about their treasures, no one mentioned special techniques being required. Not that the relics should have much in common to begin with. You two, did you see an Ori girl pass through here by herself? I'm afraid not. What happened? Wait, I recognize you both. The hero of the final days and our recent visitor from Tyrol. Apologies for the imposition. May I beg your assistance? It's all that Justicar's fault. The girl said she was off to join that fool's crusade, and ran out of Yedlimad before anyone could stop her. Her mother begged us to find her, but if she's following the Justicar, she could be anywhere. You see, he's been sighted at locations scattered all over Thavner. We can't just stand here looking at rocks while a girl's in danger, especially if the Justicar is involved. We have to help. That'd be much appreciated. We're searching places where the Justicar's been spotted before, so perhaps you could start where he hasn't been seen. Good idea. As far as I know, he hasn't been sighted at the northern shores. Come on, Prince. The northern shores. Alright, let us make our way up there. Something over here, it looks like. Aha! There are more pressing matters at hand! Alright. Alright, let's help them up. I heard the fighting, so I came as fast as I could. It's a good thing you arrived in time to save the girl. Thank you, mister. Thank you. I'm glad you're safe, but your mother must be worried sick. You shouldn't have wandered off like that. Especially not to look for a trickster like the Justicura. What? You mean he's a bad man? Yes, exactly. He stole an important treasure from my village, and now he's using it to make himself look brave. But he needs it to kill the monsters, to protect us. That's no excuse for stealing. He might have fooled you younglings, but the Radiant Host knows what he's up to. But he said he'd save us from the monsters. He's our hero. The Radiant said we shouldn't be scared, but we all know that the Justicura is the one who keeps us safe. We don't need the Radiant anymore. No hero can save the world alone. And let's say something happens to that hero. Isn't that going to bring about a whole bunch of fear to you? The last thing we need is a blasphemy showing up. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say bad things about the Radiant. Granted, a blasphemy probably isn't going to show up. With the end singer gone and everything. They protected everyone in the final days. I guess I forgot how much they care about us. I'm sorry, too. I shouldn't have spoken to you like that after all you've been through. You said that Justicura is a thief and a trickster, but I hope it's not true. He's my hero. Well, I'd best escort her back to Yedlimad. I'll meet you there later, Prince. Is this going to be another free teleport? Not this time. Alright, to Yedlimad we go then. Alright, let's hand this quest on in. The girl and her mother are reunited, and I think we can both give ourselves a pat on the back. They're on their way now to inform the Radiant Host that all is well. I would like to apologize for before. I let my emotions get the better of me, and harangued that poor girl when she was hardly to blame for anything. I really should have been scolding myself. Prince, there's something I neglected to tell you before. The man who now calls himself the Justicura came to us in the guise of a worldly merchant. He was eager to ask about the perch of the Apex and its history, and I was equally eager to tell him, not even considering what he might do with the information. I'm so proud of my father for being appointed its guardian. I suppose I was trying to impress this stranger out of sheer vanity. That vanity led to my father being attacked, and the treasure being stolen from under our noses. I have no choice but to make amends for my mistake and bring it back. Yet some are convinced that the Justicar acts only to serve the greater good. I couldn't accept that he might not be as rotten as I thought, and lashed out at the wrong person. From now on, I can't let my emotions cloud my judgment. I must remain calm and look at the facts for what they are. And the facts say that the Justicar has done no harm to the people of Thavnair. Even so, the organization he serves, the Passage of the Unbound, is evil to its very core. If his actions at my village are not villainy, I don't know what is. Well, it could simply be that he's basically not good at his job of being a villain. The situation is fraught with contradictions. I still don't know what to think. What about you, Prince? Even if he hasn't attacked anyone, his actions are stirring unrest. I agree. He speaks of justice and heroism with great bluster, yet there's something we're missing. Thank you, Prince, for your wise words. I sometimes find it difficult to keep my heart from skewing my perspective. So I'm grateful that you're here to help me see clearly. So it seems our objectives is unchanged. We track down the man who stole my people's sacred treasure. Whatever his intentions may be, unraveling them comes secondary to finding the man himself. I'll continue to pour my every effort into the search, so stop by from time to time and I may have something new to share with you. Or you're gonna have something for me right now, because the questline needs to continue. Prince, I hope you've been well. Since last we spoke, the Justicar has been busy felling fiends all across Thavnair, leaving a trail of witnesses behind in his wake. More than a few have reported seeing stones falling from the sky, which all but confirms our theory that the treasure is causing the phenomenon. The stories share one more peculiar commonality. It seems the pests he hunts have all been of the seedkin variety. Why he avoids beasts of flesh and blood is yet a mystery. It bears mentioning that each of these eyewitness accounts came from people who were rescued by the Justicar, who invariably appears just as these creatures attack. Could it be that he's the one that set the seedkin upon the area? In fact, the Justicar has been there to save the day in every single instance of seedkin-related mischief. Awfully suspicious, if you ask me. And I'm not the only one who thinks so. Yeah, I just said something's off. Some among the Radiant Host have suggested that the Justicar is planning these assaults somehow, so he alone can reap the glory from thwarting them. I agree, and think this should be our next avenue of investigation. Many of these incidents occurred near the Giant Skull grounds, so we should start our search there. If we can find one of these monstrous plants before it finds hapless prey, we may be able to shed light upon the Justicar's methods. Time is of the essence, so let's leave at once. Alright, we are headed to the northwest. All the way up there, so we'll take a teleport to... Actually, Balakastan would be closer. But yeah, you'd think he would have, like, maybe tested the thing before he left Tyrol? Before making a fool of himself initially here? Anyway. Any moving bushes? Slithering vines? Not here in any case. Prince, I'll search the western path. Why don't you search the east? If you see something, don't strike to kill. Weaken it and then capture it with this rope. We'll learn much more from a live specimen. Alrighty. Hey, no problem. I know raiding is like the most popular part of the game, but to be honest, I've never been into like savage raiding at all. So I'm more a lore head. So that's why I like enjoying this section of the game more than the raiding segments that there are. Granted, like normal raids, I have no problem with. It's the savage raids and even extremes I typically stay out of. And of course, I never go into ultimates at that. Okay, we're at our destination here. Let's we need to capture this thing. So let's see. We have our rope. Also right here. Let me try something here. Let's get into combat. And swift cast, sleep. Fully resistant. Oh, that's a shame. Okay, we gotta fight this thing a little bit then. Enemy's not yet weakened. Do I just need to bring its health all the way down? Yep, there we go. The enemy is weak. Use the sturdy rope. Here I am, thinking to use, what are they called again here? To use, roll actions. Which means everybody in that's a Caster DPS would be able to use this thing, and yet the game doesn't let me do it! I'm not sure if I saw that one. I did skip over a bunch of the side quests, and typically what I do is for the side quests. Usually I leave the side quests that don't have a blue marker on them alone, and that way I can run through them when it's time for me to level up my blue mage, and I guess the Beastmaster soon as well. Okay, let's head back to the west. Gotcha, okay. I see plenty of fauna roaming about, but the flora all seems to be of the rooted-to-the-ground variety. Perhaps my hunch was incorrect. I have a captured Morbol seedling here. Not even an aurochs could break free from the knots binding this Morbol seedling. Yeah, I wonder if this Morbol seedling has any relationship to the one that I picked up in Ormvale. It looks like a... Oh, you found one. In fact, this is exactly as an eyewitness described. I'll say it has the same icon. Why don't you keep it for the time being? Bring it to the Great Work, and I'll ask my acquaintance there to examine it with all haste. Gotcha. Usually I'm crafting away if I'm waiting for dungeon pops on a DPS. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I think I've seen you in here before, Chris. Alright, let's see what we got here. Mistress Tipike told me what to expect. Well then, let's see the thing. Here is the seedling. Ah, gotcha. I'm glad you enjoyed all that. Oh, I didn't expect it to be so diminutive. If Mistress Tipike's intuition is correct, then I expect some interesting discoveries are in store. You've brought me quite the fascinating specimen indeed. I can say for certain that this creature's growth isn't natural in the slightest. Biologically, it's still a sapling, but as you can tell by its size. Yet it is the result of a specific alchemical mixture which is used to spur the growth of seeds and mycelium to an unnatural degree. The agents have a side effect of making the creatures more aggressive, which explains why such a small specimen would so boldly attack beings larger than itself. Yet the solution requires ingredients most rare, and the cost of procuring enough to synthesize it would be beyond the means of most. So whoever is behind this, they're likely well heeled. As for the creatures themselves, if they were all grown artificially, perhaps that explains why most of the incidents involve small seedkin. Rather than wait for them to mature naturally, the Justicar must have accelerated their growth so that he could deploy huge numbers over a short span of time. In fact, his plan likely requires they be small, weak foes in order to guarantee his victory. After all, the great Justicar can hardly be expected to bear the blemish of defeat. Alright, thanks for tuning in! With these new details brought to light, it's almost certain he's staging these attacks on the common folk. Now we have a new perspective to guide our search. Perhaps you should return to Yedlimad. I hear the Justicar is the talk of the village, and they doubtless have stories to share. A splendid idea. Thank you. Your findings have brought us a step closer to unmasking that villain. Let's hurry to Yedlimad. The more accounts we have of the Justicar, the better our chances of predicting his next move. Back to Yedlimad we go then. And we are talking to the townsfolk. Rest assured, the Radiant Host are well aware of the Justicar. Every day we receive more reports of him combating beasts in the surrounding wilderness. These encounters are never on well-traveled roads, it seems. They occur in remote regions that we scarcely patrol, along routes that are only used by a small number of merchants and porters. We've concluded that the Justicar either has uncommon knowledge of the behavior patterns of these creatures, or that he keeps close company with a merchant who travels those obscure paths. Alright, so places that people don't travel to very often. If I had to take a guess, that might send us up to this area here soon. Oh, you're hungry to learn more of the Justicar? He's amazing. I was lucky enough to catch a glimpse of him on the road leading here. facing down a fearsome creature. I don't know how he did it, but he called down rocks from the sky to knock that thing flat. The Radiant hosts were away on patrol, so if he hadn't come to our rescue, the brute would have marched right into our homes. He shouted that he was the savior of Razat Han, and even waved at me. Oh, he looked so impressive with the sun shining behind him. It's strange that he's keeping that moniker, the savior of Razat Han, when most of what he's done has been out here in Thavnair. Don't tell me you've come chasing that half-baked savior. The younglings might be taken in by his honeyed words, but anyone with experience can see that he's nothing but a charlatan, and I have a story to prove it. A merchant I know took a tumble as he was transporting his goods. Not long after comes the Justikar, looking chivalrous as you please in his shining armor. But did he offer a helping hand? No, he ran off with nary a glance, backwards. He may go on about slaying beasts, but a real hero would never ignore someone in need, even if they were just suffering from scraped knees and a bruised ego. Prince, do you have a moment? I'm having a little trouble here. I sought this merchant out because I was told he dealt with the alchemists in the Great Work. I thought he might know something about the Justikar, but when I asked, he's been like this ever since. Apologies. I was just surprised that you would ask me about that madman. What connection could he possibly have with me? The fiends he fights are grown with rare alchemical materials, and we think he may be staging these encounters. Since you deal in such wares, I wondered if you might know how he came into their possession. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never spoken to that man. He just started to give a name. So this must be the supplier. I very much doubt that. Perhaps he'll be more receptive to questioning from you, Prince. Spit it out, you're working with him. You dare accuse me? What? How am I supposed to know that you aren't the one in league with Virazan? Thank you for the name! Virazan, you said. Who is that, may I ask? Huh? What? Did I? No, that's my name. Well, I doubt you talk to yourself in the third person all the time. I say we hold this person captured until Virazan shows up, because they're going to eventually need more supplies to make their seedkin grow. But that's just me. I'd be a fool to continue this charade any longer. My son Virazan is the one you know as the Justikar. To be suddenly confronted with his litany of misdeeds, I quite lost my composure. You're his father? Then do you know how he came into possession of such rare materials and knowledge? He stole them from me. My most valuable materials and my precious maps. Yet I was the one who chose to hide that fact, and I bear the blame for the consequences. What can you tell us about him as a person? Virazon was obsessed with tales of legendary heroes. Even from a young age, I paid a great deal of money to have him tutored in the art of the bow. He became quite skilled at it, in fact, but not quite as skilled as his arrogance led him to believe. Due to this, and perhaps a lack of ambition, he never aspired to true greatness. Instead, he came to rely upon fanciful equipment and exotic potions, rather than honing what skill he had. It pained me to see him fall into dissoluteness, but he would brook no counsel, so several years ago I gave him enough coin to support his lavish lifestyle and told him never to speak with me again. He didn't, until but recently, when he darkened my doorstep once more. And that was when he stole your goods? Aye, although I would have willingly gave them if he had but asked. He was rambling almost incoherently, saying his heroic deeds as the Justicar had caught the eye of someone named Apiahi, leader of the Passage of the Unbound, whoever they are. He claimed that under the guidance of his newfound allies, he had obtained a great power enough to eclipse all heroes who have come before and shall come after, as he put it. It seems he gives what money he still has to the people. To these people. To think that for all his fanciful words, he has only deigned to grasp at hollow glory, all at the expense of Radzat Han. There is no greater shame as a father. Given what we know of this shadowy group, they most likely aim to sow discontent through Virazon's deeds. He may be so blinded by his own desire for adoration that he can't see whose hands are pulling his strings. You're saying that he's being used? If that's true, then I can no longer remain silent, despite what shame it may bring. I see now that sharing my story might be the only way to save my son. Indeed, I suggest you tell the Radiant Host at once. Of course, we'll be pouring our every effort into stopping him. Thank you for giving me direction. I didn't imagine our meeting would end this way. Truth be told, I'm not entirely unsympathetic towards Virazon. I basked in my father's reflected glory, while having none of my own to speak of. The glory Virazon seeks is similarly false. I, too, shall visit the Radiant Host, and have them spread word of the Justicar's true nature. If the people are wise to his trickery, they would be far more likely to aid us. He'll soon learn that a legend built on lies is no match for true heroism. Alright, next one. Greetings, Prince. Virazon's father has been as good as his word, and has confessed the truth of his son's actions to whomever will listen. Even among the younglings, far fewer sing the Justicar's praises. The tide is turning in our favor at last, and the Radiant Host are making ready to tighten the net. Speaking of which, they had curious news to share. They've been examining the stones left behind by the Justicar, and noticed a pattern. They were all varieties of rock commonly found near the site of each encounter. For instance, near the Giant Skull grounds, the Justicar seems to have called down a hail of what else but Giant Skull. I have my own theories about what this means, but I'd like to hear your thoughts, Prince. It's safe to say the artifact doesn't create rocks from nothing. Indeed, the perch of the apex likely lifts whatever stones are nearby, and brings them crashing down to Earth. If our suspicions are correct, we're one step closer to unraveling its mysteries. But despite these favorable developments, the Justicar's popularity remains a problem. Even with the recent blow to his credibility, his most ardent followers still idolize him. In fact, I hear he's handing letters to the youth of Razad-Han, though their contents are a closely guarded secret. All the more reason to investigate, don't you think? Once we get to Razad-Han, if I question people around the marketplace, would you cover the city's western quarter? That's where his younger followers tend to gather. After we've collected enough information, let's meet to share our findings. See you again in Razad-Han, Prince. Alright, we make for Razad-Han then. And we need to head towards this spot here. The Justicar gave me that invitation himself, only for some thief to snatch it right out of my hand. Huh? You believe in the Justicar too? Well, I didn't have a chance to read the whole letters before it was stolen, but he's gathering his most devoted for a special audience. The bastard who stole my invitation is clearly up to no good. He even muttered something about getting revenge, but who could hate someone so noble? Any chance it was one of the Lance Guards out of uniform? Oh, you're the one who's always followed that Tepeke around. I heard she's spreading rumors about this city's savior. I won't let her harm his reputation any more than she already has, so I've nothing to say to her lapdog. Alright. Yeah, I know about the letters. Me and my friends didn't get one, though. The grown-ups get angry if we talk about the Justicar. But guess what? I heard Thashal talking about him over by Mehri's Mehang. He had a big grin on his face, too. Does that mean the Justicar isn't a bad man like the grown-ups say? The most useful clue points to the merchant Thashal having some connection to Virushan. He was last seen near Mehri's Mehang, which is the food court, basically. So we're going to take the Ethernet over to there. Haha, it's true what they say. A fool and his gill are soon parted. Huh? Why, if it isn't one of the heroes of the final days. This isn't about that map I sold your companion, is it? Ah, the one he sold to Estinian. You'll find it points the way to the vaults of Alzadal III, exactly as described. I may have employed a few, creative methods to entice my customers, but what merchant doesn't? I see you're as unscrupulous as ever. Now, a man can't fill his belly on virtue and honesty. Any road, something tells me that's not why you're here. You're after the Justicar. Your choice of quarry is unusual, to say the least. But perhaps I can help you along, eh? A young man came asking for a map to open the way to Uznair. I sold him every map I had, assuring him that the one he needed was among them. I suppose he found it, as I hear these letters that were handed out contain a copy of a map. I dare say that young fellow was the Justikar himself, and he's planning a clandestine meeting in the Uznair canals. Mind you, it appears he has no shortage of enemies. No doubt they'll try to interfere. Thankfully, Razadhan isn't known for large-scale criminal organizations, but that hasn't kept the less scrupulous citizens from dirtying their hands when times are desperate. From what I hear, bandits seeking to rob trade caravans keep running into the Justikar during his fiend-felling exploits, causing their raids to end in failure. Like as not, they'll try to infiltrate his group of followers and settle the score. And that's where my knowledge of the matter ends. If you're wondering where the meeting place is, all I remember is that the spot marked on the copied maps is somewhere in the Shroud of the Samga. So, does that answer your queries? Alright, that's a good detail, so let's go pick up our partner, Ipeke, and make for that destination. Those in support of the Justikar didn't seem surprised when I told them of his misdeeds, but still they were reluctant to betray him. In short, I've had no luck. What about you, Prince? Your investigative abilities never cease to amaze me. As for this gathering Verzan is planning, I expected some scheme to prop up his flagging popularity. Even so, many of his devotees are younglings, ill-equipped to make the perilous journey to the meeting place. If they've any sense, rather than attempt to travel there directly, they'll stop at settlements along the way to rest and confirm the route. You said the map led into the Shroud of the Samga, yes? That means Palaka's Stand is the closest settlement. I hear many took refuge there during the final days, and it's now a bustling town in its own right. The arrival of more people would hardly raise eyebrows, making it the perfect place to avoid unwanted attention while they make ready. We should head there before they leave on their final leg of their journey. Alright, we head to Palaka's Stand once again. I was right, Prince. Many of the youths are carrying pieces of parchment. Those must be the letters. Yet it seems my reputation has preceded me. Our suspected followers clearly avoid me whenever I try to approach them. Still, we can use this to our advantage. None of them would dare leave Palaka's Stand, while there's risk I might follow after. I'll keep watch over their comings and goings, but we'll make sure to leave obvious blind spots. If one of the Justikar's followers attempts to escape the village, I need you to go after them. Now, find a vantage point that affords a good view while keeping you hidden. Once you've started pursuing our unwitting target, I won't be far behind. Now, I wonder... I think I have an idea. This will be a nice disguise so that I can, avoid being, so that people aren't so suspicious of me. Granted, it's also a bit standoffish, but I guess we'll see. Follow the young man from a safe distance. The objective will end in failure if you are noticed, or if you fall too far behind. Should you fail, return to the starting point to reattempt the objective. Alright, so we gotta stay out of his range of view. I'm in the clear. I need to hurry. Looks like I've arrived at the point I need to go to here. Duty complete. Portal should be nearby, and then I'll finally meet him. What? You're the hero who saved us in the final days. What are you doing here? Ah, great, this guy didn't work. Ah. So, you're working alongside that woman I saw at the village? I've heard about the rumors she's spreading, but I had no idea she'd enlisted your aid. The Justicar saved me, you see. I was transporting goods for a local merchant who was too miserly to even hire a proper escort. A ferocious creature ambushed me, but my savior appeared from nowhere and saw off the beast. I owe him my life. That's why I came here, to see if there's any truth to the rumors. But now I understand that I'm in over my head. I'm going back home. Here, you can have the map. I trust you to take the measure of the Justicar and to share the truth with all of us. Apologies for watching from the shadows. but I was afraid my presence might have startled the lad. I was able to hear what he said, though, and his gratitude towards the Justicar seemed genuine. I dare say the other followers feel similarly. Well, now that we have a map of our own, let's open the portal and confront Verzon. Alright, since the disguise didn't work... Oh, we're going right into another cutscene. Well, this appears to be a disaster here. What a sight. Did the treasure cause this? Oh my, if it isn't the hero who saved Razat-Han. Nay, the world itself. I never expected someone so vaunted to attend my audience, but I am honored nonetheless. Yeah, really, everybody can see through any disguises that we try to put on. I tried to logic my way out of game mechanics, and it just doesn't work. Enough of your games, Verzon. Stop this madness at once. After giving you such a warm welcome, these are the thanks I get? Well, 'tis true I was once known by that name. 'Twas merely a guise I wore until I discovered my true self. As long as I am the masked hero of Razat-Han, I shall not suffer any to call me Verzon. But that is your name, isn't it? Why don't you drop the act and try being a true hero? A true hero, you say? Indeed, perhaps casting aside this mask is the price I must pay for the adoration I am due. Very well. My name shall ring throughout Razat-Han. Let it be known that the Justicar is Verzon, and Verzon is the Justicar. What are you saying? You unleashed the perch of the Apex upon your own followers? You know its name. Wait, I remember you. The girl from Shaktaral, yes? Your village's artifact is not discriminating in its wrath. Some among my followers harbored wicked intentions, and it brought sorrow unto my enemies. The true of heart caught in the aftermath were merely unfortunate. They believed in you, even though you tricked them. What kind of hero are you? You too would oppose me? I had thought that as fellow saviors we might find some common ground, yet it would seem we are destined to walk different paths. Now faced with unknown peril, a great fervor rages within me. However, here is not where we shall match wits. No, a more fitting battleground is in order. We will meet again soon, you have my word. Ah, shut up! Ah! Did she hit him? So, can you tell us what happened here? He gathered us all around and made a grand speech, claimed he was the hero that would drive back the flood of fiends threatening Thavnair. Then, he spoke of his anger at the recent rumors. He told us to go forth and repair his damaged reputation, so that the people would love him again. He became quite impassioned, in fact. As for us two, we were here to teach him a lesson. Biding our time until his back was turned, but we couldn't stomach his self-righteous drivel any longer. He acts like he's a god come to grace, Thavnair. But most people have grown wise to his tricks, including the Radiant Host. We stepped forward and told him as much, then demanded that he admit he's been pulling the wool over everyone's eyes. That's when he started waving that thing about. We soon learned that the rumors of its powers were true, and rocks started falling down around us. Even us true believers were not spared. There was nowhere to run. The Justikar said such power cannot be fettered, and that sacrifices are unavoidable. And all the while, he was laughing. We pleaded with him for mercy, but that just made him angrier. He flourished the object again, and yet more rocks assailed us. It was horrible. Stones big and small raining down endlessly. Until you two appeared, that is. Thank you for telling us what happened. I only wish we could have arrived sooner. Now, just to set things straight, it was you two that brandished your weapons first, yes? Well, I won't deny that, but we were only trying to bring the truth of his misdeeds to light, though we might have had some personal scores to settle on top of that. Before I left Palaka's stand, I asked the Radiant Host there to look out for anyone returning from the wilderness. I suggest you head there and seek their aid. While you're there, share with them what you just told us. And as for the pair of you, don't even think about running away, or you'll have to deal with us. Alright, let me take off this disguise since it didn't work. Everyone has returned to the care of the Radiant Host. As for those ruffians who meant to attack Virazon, it seems they had a history of violence for which they may soon answer. Several among Virazon's followers were dealt serious wounds, but we can be grateful that none lost their lives. It's exactly as the old saying describes: the master of the Apex shall be showered with good fortune, yet leaves only sorrow in its wake. The part about sorrow certainly seems true, at least. We can but hope that Virazon's spell over the people will be broken at last, when word of what transpired here becomes common knowledge. Let that buoy our spirits as we return to Yedlimad. Alright, back to Yedlimad we go then. Well, that was certainly an ordeal. Although Virazon got away, we can look back upon what transpired to plan our next course of action. It appears that the treasure takes rocks from the surrounding environment and makes them rain down upon the wielder's surroundings. However, the power seems to be somewhat haphazard. While Virzon himself wasn't struck, the boulders assailed friend and foe alike. Something else has been nagging at me as well. The stones we saw in the canal seemed quite a bit larger than the others. I don't know what to make of it, but I will give it some thought. We still don't know exactly how he controls the Apex's abilities either. We must focus on these mysteries as we continue our investigation. As for Virzon himself, he was just as his father said, wasn't he? His so-called heroism is an empty charade, like a child playing at being a hero from their storybooks. He seems motivated by a vain desire to gain the love of the people, yet he cares nothing for their well-being. He'll learn his lesson soon enough, though. None will sing his praises after word of what happened at Uznar spreads. Even he must know this. I worry that his desperation will drive him to worse misdeeds. If the treasure is used with reckless abandon, it could cause untold harm. I must discuss this with the Radiant Host. Together we might be able to capture Virzon before he attempts anything drastic. Stand by for now, Prince. I'll be in touch the moment I have something to share. I guess I can take my helmet off, though. There we go, that's better. It seems Virzon has been laying low since our last encounter. I'm sad to say, however, that my investigations have uncovered little. But there's still cause to celebrate, for I've received a letter from my mother with good tidings. My father has finally awakened after the grievous wounds dealt to him by Virzon. He's well enough to travel to Tuliolol, in fact, and may have already arrived. Of course, I'd love nothing more than to go to him, but I pledged not to return until I had the perch of the Apex in hand. Besides, I'm soon to depart with the Radiant Host to try and sniff out Virzon's whereabouts before he acts out of desperation. That's why I asked that you go in my stead. As the treasure's guardian, no one living is more knowledgeable about its history than he. If you share with him all that's transpired since we began our search, he may be able to point out something that we missed. I know it's a lot to ask, Prince, but the safety of Thavnair depends on it, and please give my family my regards. My mother should be able to tell you where in Tuliolol my father is staying. Once you're finished, let us meet in the Aetheryte Plaza in Razat Han to share what we've learned. Alright, we are headed back to Tuliolol. Oh, if it isn't Prince. But I don't see Tepeke with you. Did you come alone? Apparently, her father's on his way. I'm glad to hear my letter arrived safely, and that Tepeke seems to be as tenacious as ever in her search. Your father, Netse, has already arrived here in Tuliolol, but has barely stayed in one place since. He seems desperate to help Tepeke from a distance in whatever way he can. He told me he was traveling to the Piarionan plain in search of information he assured me was quite vital. If you wish to speak to him, he'll doubtless be in the area. Alright. That's gonna take us up to... oh, all the way into Shaloni then. Looks like I got a little bit of combat to deal with here first. At least this thing isn't trying to chirp to put me to sleep. Hello there. You are Tepeke's father? Thank you, traveler. I overextended myself. I've but recently recovered from a severe injury, and was a fool to confront such a beast alone. So, you're the prince I've heard so much about. I owe you many thanks for all you've done to recover the perch of the Apex. News of your progress in Thavnir is most heartening. Despite my position as its guardian, I never knew it could rain down stones from the heavens. Since arriving in Tuliolal, I've done what I can to shed light upon the Tyrol Vidral sealed within the treasure. After the nations of Tyrol were unified, some left our village to build new homes in the city. I've sought them out to see if they know anything of use. Unfortunately, none could offer insight into the treasure's magic, but one of them told me that owls lurked around this place. And since the Tyrol Vidral sealed within the perch of the Apex was once an owl, it seemed logical to pursue such a query. I thought perhaps I could glean something about the ancient beast from their behavior. Like as not, some fundamental aspects remain the same even after transformation. But having heard your account, there's one fundamental difference that stands out. As far as I'm aware, no owl native to these lands possesses the ability to hurl rocks, large or otherwise. No doubt the Tyrol Vidral gained this power following its metamorphosis. I do believe, however, that it would retain an owl's core instincts. That one you fought didn't strike unprovoked. Instead, it watched me from afar with fear in its eyes. While this is normal behavior for most animals, I was surprised by how suddenly it descended upon me the moment I started approaching. It sensed danger and attacked preemptively. I had the same thought. The owl sensed the threat and chose to confront it rather than run from it, and this same impulse may have driven the Tyrol Vidral. Indeed, that correlates with something I heard from one of my countrymen who had relocated to Tuliolal. He spoke of a continuation to the tales passed down from the elders. No hunter's arrow could fell the Apex. It was struck down in a storm of its own wrath, made wild by a heart of fright. Thus was it sealed away at last. Now, judging from the owl's behavior, I can theorize that the treasure is activated when its bearer senses danger. According to the story, this power can easily get out of hand if its bearer is panicked. Of course, this theory must be tested first. Grizon will certainly use the perch of the Apex again. When he does, I ask that you and Tepeke pay special attention to the circumstances leading to its activation. You have my thanks. Loath though I am to admit it, I've yet to recover from my long convalescence, and I would only be a burden to you. I wish I could aid my daughter another way, but you more than make up for my absence. Please lend her every bit of knowledge you have, Prince. I pray that my daughter will soon return home, treasure in hand. Alrighty, let us head to Radzat. Prince, you came just in time. Verzon has shown his face in Radzat. You can tell me about your journey to Tuliolol later. For now, come with me. Are you surprised? Thanks to the sage counsel of a fellow hero, I have decided to doff my mask. Although my face may be unfamiliar, I believe you know who I am. I was once the Justicar, but now you may call me Verzon. I am Thavnair's protector, its savior, its hero. You may have heard salacious rumors that I orchestrated the very attacks which I so valiantly drive back, that I was behind the catastrophe at the Uznair canals. I am here to assure you that those are false aspirations all, cast by those who are envious of their betters. I give my life for this fair city and its people, and I would give more still if I could. What should we do? Might be best to lock him up before this gets out of hand. Wait, we don't want him raining down rocks with all these bystanders around. For now, keep a careful eye on him. All I ask for is your respect, your adoration. A dream held by all, but realized only by a few. And I would be one of those few. I have proven myself worthy of being your savior, and now, with an entire city watching with bated breath, I shall declare my intent to reach even higher. Yes, for I can protect you all the better as your ruler. I shall retire the mantle of hero and take up the crown as the king of Radzat. Oh, Vitra's not gonna like that! Oh dear. If he actually tries to go in there and he gets scared by the presence of Vitra, oh, that's gonna be a lot of rocks. Is Vershan around here anywhere? The bastard's gone mad. I wield power unassailable. With me on your throne, you would never again have cause to fear. All would live in peace. All would shower me with love. They would shout it to the heavens, and from that love would spring a new Radzat, a greater Radzat. Does he not even know about Vitra? Because I'm getting the sense he doesn't know that Vitra is the leader here, and that Vitra actually showed who he was when during the final days. Enough of your lies, Vershan. The power you wield protects none but yourself. To everyone else, it only brings ruin. Of course, the road to greatness is ever paved with necessary sacrifices. Yet, so long as your ruler lives, Radzat shall know naught but prosperity. You think you're better than Master Vitra? He bore this city and its people on his back, while you look fit to collapse under the weight of your own armor. You're no leader, you're a damn joke. Does this man speak for you all? Is there not one among you who would follow me into a brighter future? Ah, but I am nothing if not magnanimous. Until you find the wisdom to accept me as ruler, I shall continue to stand vigilant as your eternal shield. Stop this, Virazan. You're only making it worse for yourself. Can't you see you've become a laughingstock? Give up this facade and answer for your sins. Do so now, and the Radiant Host may yet grant you mercy. My sins? Are you not the one poisoning the people against me? Do your worst, I dare you. It will only make me more powerful. I know not what is in your heart, but please end this madness. End it and return to me, my son. It should not work if he's actually feeling strengthened. You two, why are you... Huh. Okay, I guess it doesn't work on fear then. What? Don't. If we fight here, there's no telling how many innocents will be wounded. Pathetic, as ever. I tire of this farce. I have declared my intent to become king of Radzat. As for you two, this is no place for a battle between heroes. We shall meet again, mark my words, and then we shall decide who is the mightier. We should follow him at the first opportunity to take him down. Can't risk a confrontation in the city. You're right, of course. As much as I hate to see Virazan walk free, we've yet to ascertain the extent of his power. For now, we must bide our time. I noticed that despite all his proclaimed love for its people, he didn't even look back at them as he retreated. Perhaps he couldn't bear to look them in the eyes, or one of them at least. Maybe I missed it, but it also seemed like he didn't even need to bring out the trinket this time. That was a disaster. Virazan is truly lost. At the very least, he committed himself to fomenting unrest within Radzat. And although he's my son, I cannot condone his actions. His words are grand, but empty. And that ridiculous armor is nothing more than gaudy decoration. He is truly the embodiment of false heroism. What's more, this latest debacle has surely made him a criminal in the eyes of the Radiant Host. All I can do now is beg them to grant my son some small degree of clemency. Before you go, may I ask you something? After Virazan called down the rocks, did you see his expression? I thought it peculiar. But I'm curious as to what his father saw in that face. It was a familiar look. When I used to scold him for losing himself in make-believe, he would get the same cast in his eyes. A look of petulant rage. as if he resented me for pulling him out of his reverie and into harsh reality. He hasn't changed. Apologies, but I must go. Just as I thought. Even clad in his shining armor, he can't bear to be told no. And now his childish games have taken a malevolent turn. But for now, we should return to Yedley Mad. I still have yet to hear what you learned in Tuliol, after all. Alright, we go to Yedley Mad. Now that we have some room to breathe, I'd like to hear about your journey to Tyrol. Did my father have anything to share? Yeah, we need to be observant during our next encounter, so... yeah, it's interesting that he wasn't fearful this time. I'm heartened to know he's well enough to go chasing after owls and such, though I wish he'd take more care. Thank you for saving him and bringing me his theory concerning the treasure. If it really is triggered by a sense of impending danger, that might explain why Verzon had trouble using it the first time. He wasn't truly afraid of that small fungi until it was almost upon him. It also explains how he can wield the Apex's powers despite having no training in magics. It responds to emotion, not intent. So much is falling into place. He goaded the Radiant into apprehending him because he knew the threat would be answered. You saw how nonchalantly he quit the plaza, almost as if defying someone to stop him. Verzon truly believes himself to be untouchable. I think his words and deeds align with the theory well enough. As for that curious fragment of a story, it seemed to imply that the Tyrol Verdrol lost control in a panic. Perhaps its strength grows in proportion to the danger it senses, and when that danger is too great, well, it'll bring the rocks down upon itself. You saw what happened at the Uznair canals in Rodzhan. You were present both times, as were others who wished Verzon ill. And both times we saw stones much larger than we've seen before. Now I understand why he's so eager to face you. An opponent of your caliber will strike fear into Verzon's very core, and that will summon a power greater than any he's ever known. Power enough to bring a hero to his knees. Or so he thinks. But we know better. We can use that arrogance to our advantage and bring him crashing down to the earth. Although we may have to contend with falling rocks for a time, in a straight fight he'll be outmatched. So we strike fast and we strike hard, until that fancy armor is nothing more than mangled steel. Now, if they were still a thing, we might also want to grab some earth potions as well. But sadly, they don't anymore. Although you may prefer to put your foes to sleep and whatnot, we know he has an arsenal of alchemical concoctions at his disposal. That's why I suggest a bit of good old-fashioned brute force. While you unleash your most fearsome destructive spells, I'll be your shield. Don't even think of holding back. Sounds like a plan. I look forward to fighting by your side. Now we simply have to find a suitable arena. I shall consult the Radiant host as to the location. Once that's decided, we'll confront Verzon for the final time. Alright, so either up on that cliff that we saw earlier, or rather that I pointed out earlier, or the other good place would actually be out in this arena right out here over in the ocean, so either would work. You'll be pleased to know the Radiant hosts were most helpful in finding a place fit for a duel. When I saw it, even I began to believe our encounter would be one for the songs. Speaking of which, it seems your name is on the lips of all and sundry. The people already consider you the true savior of Ratatan and believe you will bring Verzon the deceitful to justice. We apologize for putting so much weight on your shoulders, but something tells me you're used to it. The final showdown shall take place in the mountain pass leading to Khadga, where great crystals will stand as witness to its conclusion. Suitably romantic and suitably isolated. The Radiant Host has spread word throughout Thavnair that a hero has arisen to challenge Verzon, and his pride will force him to answer. The entrance to the pass is at the Giant Skull grounds. Let's head there at once to await his arrival. Let's do this! Really? Up there instead? Huh. Not exactly what I would call a place for a great arena. Unless there's something underneath here that we can't see on the map. Alright, we got the sign that duty calls, so let me go ahead and have some food. Shramil here has opened the way towards Khadga. I'm certain Verzon will arrive before long, and then we'll wipe that arrogant grin off his face. But first, we should check our gear and gird our loins before battle. Are you ready, Prince? I am ready. There he is. Though, through the cragged peaks of Khadga, desolate winds blow over the field of battle. Oh, what a fitting location you have chosen for the conclusion of this legendary rivalry. I was right not to face you before. An environment unsuited to a struggle between titans. Now my patience has been rewarded, and my heart races in anticipation. I knew you would answer our challenge. You would never be able to stomach the people calling you craven. Such boldness in the face of impending doom. Have you not realized by now that so long as I wield the perch of the apex, I am invincible? We'll soon put that to the test. You rely too much upon stolen power. It deludes you. You claim to be a savior to the people, but they have seen through your lies. Even your own father can scarcely bear to look at you. You're nothing but a small, small man, hiding within the hollow facade of a hero. And today we tear that facade down. Will you now? You may have the medal, but have you the puissance to claim the mantle of hero? My mantle. Verzon the Deceiver. The time for words is past. Follow my lead. Alright, since they are my tank, I'm gonna set them as a focus target, just so I can keep an eye on their health. I really shouldn't have to heal, given what I'm undertaking here, but at the same time, I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth that I'm doing this as a red mage. Almost got him halfway down already. Or no, that's my tank. Let me get them back up here. There we go. Virazon does appear to be healing themselves at points here. Ah, hello! And I need to stack with them. I'm gonna need to heal both of us at this point, I think. Alright, we're ready for our big attack. You defeated them already. But of course, who would wish this duel to end so quickly? What? My armor! My armor! Really starting to get busy on the field here. But nothing we can't handle. Hello. Well, that was close. Find the hole. We both suffer grievous wounds. Perhaps we should consider this a draw. Oh no. You've lost, Virzon. Lay down your weapon. I'm utterly defenseless. This rotten piece of wood was supposed to make me invincible. I can't move. The artifact it's... Alright, we gotta take care of the perch of the apex. But I am a hero! Someone save me! Is this gonna bring that owl out then? It swallows us. It'll swallow us if we don't stop it soon. I'm casting as quickly as I can. That got it. And duty complete. He's out cold. Now to take back the treasure. What? This can't happen. A hero never falls. I must retreat. Yes, a tactical retreat. A noble retreat. So that the Justikar may live to save another day. Huh? Yep, there it goes. We knew that was the likely outcome. I suppose the apex wasn't finished yet. And it seems that Virzon, in his cowardly haste, neglected to look skyward. Was it an unfortunate accident? No, that's pretty much what the legend said exactly was going to happen. Or fate delivering his just desserts. claimed to be Razathan's savior, yet he sowed only discontent among its people. Perhaps some days in a sunless jail will give him time to reflect upon the error of his ways. And now, I've finally recovered the perch of the apex. Thank you for coming this far with me, Prince. The battle was hard fought, but we made it through. Verazon is the responsibility of the Radiant Host now. And now that I've done what I pledged to do, I must return home and bring the good tidings to my mother and father. Yet before doing so, there are many others I must thank. In the meantime, can I count on you to meet my family at Tuliolo for one final farewell? My parents will surely be glad to see you again. Alright, then we are headed to Tuliolo once again. Alright, here we go. I didn't expect to see you in Tuliolo again so soon. Is Tepeke well? Things are going well, Rooks. I'm just wrapping this up now. She really did it. And the man who stole our sacred treasure will answer for his deeds. Father, Mother, it's good to see you. I'm sure Prince has already told you what happened. I couldn't have retrieved our treasure without him. So we've heard. Yet Prince also told us your wits and bravery were essential to your success. On behalf of our whole village, I thank you for guiding Tepeke in her quest, Prince. Now the perch of the apex must be returned, and put under careful guard once again. The story of the Tyrol Vidrol's demise proves that we are not meant to wield its power as our own. I'm sorry, Father, but I disagree. Once I return to the village, I want to tell everyone what happened in Thavnir. They need to know what the treasure is capable of, or else we risk forgetting once again. I won't deny that the Apex's power is dangerous. I saw it with my own eyes. What happens when it's wielded with abandon? Yet during the course of our search, I also saw potential. If we fully understood how it worked, we could use it without risk to ourselves or other people. We could turn something we once feared to our advantage, instead of letting it become obscure in legend. I can see the reason in that. We must be ever ready for danger, even in times of peace. Should our safety be threatened, the treasure may grant us a means to protect ourselves. But can we be trusted to use it responsibly? Great power breeds great desire. Someone with the same ambitions as Verazon may arise again, perhaps from among our own. I dare say that once I've regaled them with the rise and fall of the Justicare, they'll think twice before following in his misguided footsteps. As our forebears relied on the legend of the Tyrol Vidrol's fate to forbid the treasure's use, we can rely on the story of Verazon's fate to urge caution. And this time we have someone who lived through it to tell the tale. Of course, If I'm going to be guiding people in safe use of a potentially dangerous treasure, I see no choice but to inherit my father's position as its guardian. Some may raise their eyebrows at the prospect of loose-lipped Tepeke serving as the perch of the Apex's protector, but I've grown from my mistakes. And who better to tell the tale of Virazon's and Tepeke's failures? Your only mistake was in trusting Virazon, the same as I and many others. But unlike him, you have the willpower to overcome your own failings. Over the course of your long and arduous journey, you gained a wealth of experiences, and your efforts have finally been rewarded. You took responsibility for your actions, and by so doing, proved your conviction to our people. They shall listen to this proposition with open minds, I am certain. Now we must say farewell, as much as it pains me to do so. I owe you a debt I could never hope to repay. Once I return to the village, I'll do my utmost to protect the treasure we worked so hard to retrieve. Until next we meet, may fortune smile upon you. And we've unlocked Reach for the Apex, worth 5 achievement points. Alright, so that just leaves one quest left, one role quest sequence to go through, rather, with Raholja over there. That is going to require the physical range DPS, but that is a quest line that we will pursue on another day. That's going to be it for me today. Thank you for joining me today. This is PrinceBrightstar signing off. I'll catch you next time.